All right. Good to see everybody. We'll get rocking. I'll hit normally like we do with the captains for this week's game. Offensively, it's going to be John Bates, and defensively, Bobby Wagner, and on special teams, Tress Way. And man, do these guys lead in different ways, but the examples of professionalism, standards. I kind of, talked to you earlier about this week of standards and elite and day after day after day. And I think there was a purpose behind, why I chose these three, of those kind of standards all the time. So after bye week, there's been a lot of time between Madrid and Sunday night, and want to be able to show our improvement as a team, the thing we've worked hard on. We've thrown a really good week so far, and that's got to carry over into the game. So we'll get rolling with you guys. We're going to rule out Jaden. Had very good progress. I'd call it a great first step. Haven't been cleared for the contact to get into that spot. So give you an update next week. Also excited to see Terry, C-17 back out. He's worked hard also. So it's been a long stretch, for him. So getting him back out, that's a big deal. So let's get rolling.
So what about like Will Harris?
Will also had a really good week. 3 full days, full speed. As far as activations and such go, we'll do all that tomorrow.
Okay. And then to get Terry back, what does this mean for this offense?
Well, I think a number of things. One, we can start building back that continuity, with Terry, as part of it. I'm excited, obviously, for the deep ball. That's like Terry's, superpower of tracking the deep balls to go. But there's screens, there's intermediate routes. He's a very good route runner. So there's an energy that goes with that. And so, we're excited. We're excited to get back. He's worked hard. And so to see that come back after some frustrating days and hard conversations and quiet moments, to work hard and get back, it's a big deal.
And for Noah, where do things stand with him? Yeah,
for Noah, he'll be out. Jaden and Noah and Drake Jackson, those 3 will be out.
I want to go back to Madrid. Just the defense, the way they played. What were some of the things that you really noticed that was really clicking that maybe you hadn't seen in weeks past?
I definitely liked the urgency, first, Nikki, of the team, quickly aligned to really go for it and set it. Miami, with the shifts and the motions, had traditionally been a team that can cause problems with that, where they can gain a leverage because of the speed of the motion. That was one I was wanting to see. I was wanting to see us play, down the red zone, so we could, play square and tough. I wanted to see the inside guys. Could they affect the QB? What I want to see improving are our shots to go win on the takeaways. But that was a few of the things that I really liked. I felt the physicality, and I really enjoyed that, because when you're going, when you want to see it and feel it, and you make a big play and you see that happen, there was an energy, a commander energy, that I thought they brought into some of those big 4th down stops. The next step, creating some ops for the offense too. That's something that we have to just improve on. We really do.
Hey, Coach. Wide receiver Taylen Burks shared with me the other day the story about what happened to his finger in the game. So what can you just say about him, and just, what you've known about him in the time period he's been here?
Yeah, in the short time that I've gotten to know him, I've sensed first like a hungry competitor. And we've seen that a lot, where somebody needs a fresh start, a fresh space, a new outlook, and sometimes a new space to go do that and express who they are as a player. What I've since learned is the competitor. I'm ready for that. He was, so much as, I'll do the kickoff return. I want to punt return. Like, you feel his energy, Candy, of wanting to prove it, and I think that's a good thing. What I've also learned, just the size, for him, like when you're around him, like, man, this is a big receiver. And so that's different. And I think having that kind of versatility is a big deal. But I like, if there was a hunger index, his is really high. And I like that about him.
And looking to Sunday night against the Denver Broncos, what have you seen so far from them on film?
Yeah, a lot. I thought defensively, I really thought their front drives a lot. They have playmakers at all the spots, at linebacker, certainly a safety, and a corner. And so when you have them at all the levels, that's a big deal. I like how they jump off the ball defensively and swarm. So that's the challenge, when they're at the line of scrimmage. Can you find ways to, get some plays? Offensively, I thought, through the years of going against Coach Payton, there's been a lot of things to defend. And so offensively, you can see in year 2 with Bo, an expanded, level of that. obviously the speed, the playmakers at receiver. I've always thought they've had an excellent screen game. I thought, through the years, that's one of the things I've, from going against them was a hard, thing to defend. I like the backs, and the quarterback, is making plays, legs, arm, those. So it's a good challenge. They've got good special teams players. We do as well. So it's one of these matchups as a coach. Yeah, that's a good. And it's there. I've been obviously pointing them out, to the players and in the meetings all week, and but those are a few of the things right there. But all the groups have good matchups in this game. I think you guys will see those. Hey man, these two guys are battling. This group and this group is battling, and so that'll start from the first play of the game. Whether it's kickoff or kickoff return, both units well coached, and they'll be battling too. But 3 experienced play callers for them with Sean and Darren and with BJ. So good matchup for us.
Dan, we remember Josh Connerly when the season started faced this gauntlet of pass rushers right out of the gate. These last few games is another gauntlet starting this week with Denver's pass rush. Is it too easy to say this would be a good sort of test to see kind of how much he has developed over the course of time, and if so, what you kind of want to see, to focus on where he may have developed? Yeah,
for sure it's a test, no question. It'd be hard pressed, not just for him, but for all the guys. I thought they've done a nice job, not just with the 4-man rush, but blitzing the inside backers, a safety who's a fantastic instinctive blitzer, playmaker to go. So it'll be everybody in the protection, but yes, I would say, matchup-wise, this is a good one, and they got guys that can rip and go, and so for sure it's a big test.
And with the running back room, we've seen Chris Rodriguez had a good game last game. Bill obviously had some early in the year. Haven't maybe seen them in the same game kind of get going. Is that something that matters to be able to play them off each other in the same game versus just this guy does one thing and versus another? Is that like another part of the evolution?
That's a good question, Ben. I would say sometimes it can be a hot hand, okay, guys feeling it and going. Other times, okay, better in a certain play or a certain scenario, but that kind of as leveled out as it's, moved forward. Protection-wise, I think Jeremy was always, one, and then Chris and Bill, leveling up, to go into that. That's a big piece of it too. Denver's, have been challenging, in the run game. So there'll be some runs that are smaller, and you got to break through on a good blitz to see if you can get a longer one. But I'm comfortable using all 3. But it's still more like on a hot hand, or what's a matchup, or how can you feature somebody, on a certain play that might have been at an empty or on a goal line. So there's some featuring. It's not just like you take this, the next one's take this, but not as much as it was earlier probably. I did an excellent job there of saying nothing, so I just wanted to give myself a pat on the back right there. Yeah, I did. I totally recognized after I said it. I was like, I really nailed that one right there. Way to go, Sean.
Going back to Noah, sorry. I mean, we haven't...
Brown?
Yep. Yes, I'm sorry. We haven't heard from him in a while, and I can only imagine how frustrating this has been. What has the past, 8 weeks been like for him from your vantage point, and how close do you think he is to getting out there?
There's definitely been some dark moments, and this is a guy who's dealt with a lot in terms of the injury part of things and battled back through things. He is really a resilient just person. So he's had unusual injuries, even in his past. But it's nice knowing that the light at the end of the tunnel it's more clearly now. When you're really far away, it's harder. And so to see him, really, putting in the work at practice, he's definitely very close. So that's a good sign. The frustration's still there, but not maybe the darkness and the anger, that goes with when you have a injury and then re-injure it. Those are things that and so to see him knowing that he's closer, that's a big deal for us. He's one of our very best competitors.
And I can't remember if we ever asked you about Jake Moody, but what attracted you, I guess, to signing him, and how much of the kicker switch was about the issues from 50 yards plus?
Well, Adam had a lot more experience with Jake. They were together during in San Francisco, so they had some history. Obviously, scouting him, coming out of Michigan, knew where it was, and we actually he kicked against us in a game this season, and so because I was going to ask him, have you ever kicked here? And I was like, oh, shit, yeah, of course he's kicked here. It was about wind and night and that. And so, but it was time that we had to make a move, and so regarding with Matt. So I think it was in totality of, hey, man, these are the ones we got to do. And we just felt like this was the best option for the team now. And like he's ready to go. So it was good to get a full weekend with him of the practice and going big win day yesterday to hit. So, yeah, he's ready to get rolling.
I got time for
3 more. Whoa, Coach, real quick. Sorry. When we are facing some of these pass-heavy teams, how do you balance when you are looking at things defensively, like being aggressive and blitzing cover zero, as opposed to keeping track of some of those wide receivers that get really deep?
Yeah, it's absolutely the balance. And the first part of the game plan, you want to know like who is somebody that could wreck the game, with a play, and you want to find out how are they making their explosive plays, whether it's a pass. Some are catch and run, meaning, all right, this guy is fantastic on a screen that he can take the small pass and go big, or as a person that's vertical, say this is a player that you have to stay on top of. And so that's where the game planning starts during the week. And then you want to find out, okay, are there matchups that we could feel vulnerable to, or you want to lean to somebody? And so that's how it kind of begins. But as far as just in pass, if you had your choice, that you'd much prefer to like 4-man rush and see if you could hit the QB and get him moving that way, because now there's more coverage to go. But when you don't, you have to be a little bit more creative. Sometimes zero, sometimes simulated pressure, which means you're still going to bring 4 just from different neighborhoods. And sometimes that can be effective, but it's a little bit of a crapshoot, because if the person gets blocked, it could be a person that you don't want on a big guy, a nickel on a tackle. Like, those are not matchups. Like, man, we feel really good about that. Those are not ones you do. So you just try to take your shots, be strategic in those, and make sure you tackle well. Because if it's catch and runs that are, causing big plays, you can drill down on those.
So maybe it's a little bit more personnel driven.
Yes.
Would you say? Okay.
Very
Depending
much
on what's
so.
on the other side. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Obviously, Mikey can play inside and outside, but in the past, when we've asked about kind of where do you see him, it's typically been inside. Is it possible over these last 6 games that changes as going forward because of the success he has had on the outside?
Yeah, it's definitely possible, Ben. It's a good question, and it's definitely possible. I'll have fresh eyes for it. I know that's where he'll be, right now. It's funny, like, started in, moved out, started in, moved to out. So I think what I'll do is afterwards, kind of take a 2-year assessment to say, all right, where's the best thing moving forward? We're fortunate that he has the versatility to do that, because when you're at just one spot, it does make it more challenging. But, yeah, it's possible.
I'm going to go back to what you said about Noah Brown just dealing with some of the dark moments and knowing there have been a lot of guys that have dealt with some significant injuries this season. How do you help them through that as a coach? Are there things you like to do just to, kind of keep them mentally in it?
Yeah, I do. And I like just to usually one-on-one, it's a hard space to be in. You can feel disconnected in a lot of ways. The team goes away on a trip and you're staying back to work out on a Saturday and a Sunday. You go to, overseas for a game and you're not able to do enough work, so you're here doing things. Those are ones where you can feel a disconnect. Or a person like, Will Harris on a surgery where there's not much to do for a couple weeks. Those can be spaces. So I just try to have the conversations and check in from the neck up, not as the ball player, but as the man, and see where he's at and, how's that going? Because it's hard. And, like, these guys are real competitors. So usually you get the good, I'm doing good. Okay, what else? And, let's talk some more. And oftentimes I'm no problem with, like, awkward silence for a while. Tell me some more. And just wait them out. But then on their way back, and like to see somebody like Terry at practice yesterday made some good plays. And so when you get to show that on a meeting and today, it goes a long way, because as a coach, you're a little bit more familiar with the journey of what they're doing in rehab. I'm the one that sees the videos that, when they're on, field 7 and no one's there. But their teammates don't see that. They know there's a lot of unseen work that goes into it. But we know it's part of it. It sucks. But I think it's probably harder for the person that's had multiple, and now, you don't want to get into, here we go again, here we go again. That's the harder one. The first time, okay, checklist. What's next? What's the next marker? What's the next thing? And if you can tell somebody to get to here by this week and get to there, it makes it a little, like a short-term goal. Get to here, man. If you get to there, then we'll take the next one. Sometimes when you're all the way messed up and your ankle's swollen or like, man, how the hell is this going to work? So you just get off crutches, get to the next phase.
With Mikey going outside.
No, we're not going to predict the winner of tomorrow's game, Ohio State, Michigan.
Stay away from that. Hasn't worked out well for me the last couple of years. With Mikey going outside, you typically in your career have had bigger outside corners. So what intrigues you about him out there? What gives him that possibility to maybe find a home more out there?
Yeah, it's a good question. Sometimes there's ideal traits that you want to play, on the line. You want to play press. And then there's other players that really can fit in any scheme because of instincts or playmaking ability. And so with Mike, I know it was ironic that he dropped the interception in Miami. Like, there's probably the person I would pick to be in a spot to catch the ball and a punt. Like, of all the guys that have probably the best hands, like, he'd be probably the one I'd like, go to him, pick him. And sometimes the size, John, I would say, it's not just that. If there's a playmaking ability that can put somebody at a trait that's higher, then I think it's worth doing it. That would be an exception. I think what you don't want is a team full of exceptions to say, now it's this and that, but you better have some demonstrated stuff to you that says, yeah, I know it's not the ideal size. Like for Mike, he's better playing off, where he has vision and can use these instincts and the quickness to go. And so sometimes that's why you think nickel, because you're off more than you're down. And so you can play corner from off, lots of people do it, and play it well. Then you're into a quarterback read. It's a 3-step. Is it 5-step? How do I transition? So there's training that goes with it, but he's capable of doing that for sure. John Jones, another example of a smaller person who's, made it inside and outside. So if you don't have the playmaking abilities, you got no shot, But if you do, then I think, all right, you don't have to have just these specific traits, like there's receivers that have played really well that didn't run 4-4, like they just had something else, this route running, this ball skills were crazy, like I remember like one of the most competitive receivers I remember coaching against was Anquan Bolden. I think coming out, he had a terrible time, but he was just such a competitor. I was like, as a defensive coach, like, man, I was first coming in the NFL. I was like, I respect this dude, what he looks like. So that's what I think. All right, see you guys. Still thinking about the running backs right now.